The distress call. The Tarvasi exploration vessel Harmony of Stars drifted helplessly against the backdrop of infinite darkness, its once elegant crystalline hull now fractured and dim. Emergency systems cast a soft purple glow across the command deck where Captain Ilori Nail stood, her slender four-armed frame trembling not from the rapidly cooling air, but from the decision that weighed upon her. Life support is down to 14%, Captain, reported First Officer Mirin, his translucent skin pulsing with anxiety patterns. Engine core containment is failing. We have perhaps 8 hours before catastrophic system collapse. The 23 Tarvasi crew members on the bridge fell silent. Their species had evolved on a world of perfect equilibrium, moderate gravity, stable climate, and minimal environmental threats. The Tarvasi had developed advanced technology through cooperation and intellectual pursuit rather than the crucible of survival that forged other species. They were diplomats, artists, and philosophers who had never needed to become warriors. Communication status, Captain Null asked, her melodic voice steadied despite her fear. Standard channels remain inoperable, replied communications specialist Reen. The quantum relay is functional, but heavily damaged. We can send one targeted message before it fails completely. Nell closed her large, faceted eyes. The nearest Tarvasi outpost was weeks away. Their only hope lay in a direction that filled her with trepidation. The human outpost at Frontier Station 7 is only 6 hours from our position, offered Science Officer Tala quietly. A ripple of unease moved through the bridge crew. Humans, Deathworlders, the bipedal mammals who had emerged from a planet so hostile that most galactic species considered it uninhabitable. Earth, with its crushing gravity, extreme temperature variations, constant natural disasters, and predator-filled ecosystems, had produced beings whose very physiology was built for survival at all costs. The Galactic Council advises limited contact with humans. Medical Officer Jonas reminded them. They're unpredictable, aggressive. Their diplomatic envoys carry weapons even to peace conferences. They're also the only species within range who might reach us in time, Tala countered. I've studied their behavioral patterns. They respond to distress signals with remarkable consistency. Captain Null moved to the viewing portal, staring out at the stars. Her people valued harmony and deliberation. Decisions were typically made through careful consensus. But time was a luxury they no longer possessed. 3 cycles ago, a human repair team assisted us when our atmospheric regulators malfunctioned during the Galactic Summit, she said finally. They worked for 20 hours without rest to fix systems they had never seen before. When offered payment, their leader said only that they hoped someone would do the same for them. She turned back to her crew. Send the distress call to Frontier Station 7. Include all ship specifications and crew physiological data. Add Federation diplomatic codes to the header. Vreen's fingers danced across the luminescent control surface. Message prepared, Captain. Nal took a steadying breath. This is Captain Ilori Nal of the Tarvasi exploration vessel Harmony of Stars. We have suffered catastrophic system failures and are adrift. Life support failing. Request immediate assistance. She paused, then added, please hurry. The message shot outward through the quantum network, carrying their desperate plea across the void. At Frontier Station 7, Communications Officer Dmitry Volkov was halfway through his night shift, absently tapping his stylus against his console while reviewing subspace traffic reports. The sudden blaring of the emergency alert made him jolt upright, coffee sloshing dangerously close to sensitive equipment. What the? He muttered, scanning the incoming transmission. His eyes widened. Commander Hayes. Priority 1 distress signal coming in. Commander Sarah Hayes appeared at his station within seconds, her weathered face serious as she read the message. 20 years in the Terran fleet had taught her that emergencies in space waited for no one. Tarvasi vessel, she said, recognition flickering in her eyes. The crystalline ships, right. The diplomats. Volkov nodded. Signal shows critical hull damage, engine containment failing, and life support at minimal levels. They'd got less than 8 hours of air left. Hayes didn't hesitate. Alert Admiral Chen on the Intrepid. This is a code red rescue operation. Within minutes, the message had reached the TDF Intrepid, flagship of humanity's frontier defense fleet, currently patrolling the outer system. Admiral Alina Chen had just finished her workout in the ship's gym when her comm unit chirped with the emergency code. On the bridge, still in her exercise clothes with a towel around her neck, Chen read the distress call as her officers assembled around her. "Distance to the Tarvasi vessel," she demanded. Lieutenant Commander Jackson, her tactical officer, responded immediately. 6 hours at standard burn, Admiral. 4 hours and 20 minutes if we push beyond safety protocols. Chen wiped sweat from her brow. Decision already made. Prep for emergency acceleration. Alert medical to prepare for Tarvasi casualties. They're from a low-gravity world with specialized atmospheric requirements. Admiral. Captain Rodriguez interjected. The Tarvasi are on the Council's caution list. Protocol suggests limited engagement and... They're asking for help, Captain. Chen cut him off, her voice brooking no argument. That's the only protocol that matters right now. Alert the Defender and the Swift Justice to join us. I want all 3 ships ready to move in 5 minutes. Throughout the 3 warships, klaxons sounded as crews jumped into action. In the Intrepid's engineering section, Chief Engineer Aisha Rahman barked orders as her team prepared the massive fusion drives for emergency acceleration. Coolant systems at maximum. Radiation shielding doubled. We're about to push these babies harder than regulation allows. In the medical bay, Dr. Mikhail Petrov reviewed Tarvasi physiological data while his staff prepped specialized equipment. Their cellular structure is crystalline-based, he explained rapidly. They're acutely sensitive to temperature changes and pressure variations. Prep the environmental stabilization units and synthesize atmosphere mixed Tarvasi Alpha. On the bridge, Admiral Chen watched as her fleet prepared for departure. Born in the earthquake zones of New California, she had learned early that survival often depended on minutes, not hours. Fleet reports ready, Admiral. Commander Jackson announced. Chen nodded. Set course for the Tarvasi vessel. Maximum burn. She turned to communications. Send message to the Harmony of Stars. This is Admiral Alina Chen of the Terran Defense Fleet. We have received your distress call and are en route. Expected arrival in 4 hours, 30 minutes. Hold on. The 3 massive human warships pivoted in space, their engines flaring brilliant blue as they accelerated to speeds that would render most species unconscious from the G-forces. Inside, the human crews felt the familiar pressure of acceleration press them back into their crash couches, but remained alert and functioning thanks to both their Earth-evolved physiology and specialized training. Hang on, Tarvasi, Shen whispered as stars blurred outside the viewports. The Deathworlders are coming. In the shadow of a nearby asteroid field, 3 predatory vessels hung motionless, their black hulls absorbing rather than reflecting light. These were the hunter ships of the Vecron Dominion, and they had been tracking the Tarvasi exploration vessel for days, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. On the command deck of the lead ship, Silent Fang, War Captain Drax leaned forward on his throne. His chitinous exoskeleton gleamed under the red tactical lights as his compound eyes studied the holographic display. Interesting, he clicked, mandibles twitching thoughtfully. The Tarvasi have sent a distress call. His second in command, Sub-Commander Krev, moved closer to examine the data. Their ship is failing rapidly. They will be dead within their own time frame. Drax tapped one razor-sharp claw against his armored foreleg. Yes, but look where they sent their message. He enlarged a section of the display. They'd called the humans for help. A low chittering spread through the bridge crew. Humans were known throughout the sector, though opinions varied widely. Some species found them fascinating, others terrifying. The Vecron viewed them with hungry contempt. Humans. Krev spat the word like venom. Soft-bodied creatures from a fault planet. Perhaps, Drax replied, mandibles spreading in what passed for a smile among his kind. But the Tarvasi believe these humans will rescue them. He rose from his command throne and moved across the bridge, his segmented legs clicking against the metallic floor. This presents both a challenge and an opportunity. The Vecron had been hunting Tarvasi ships for months, seeking their advanced crystalline technology. The peaceful explorers had developed remarkable energy-focusing systems that could revolutionize Vecron weapons capabilities. But capturing a Tarvasi vessel intact had proven difficult. Until now. Status of their technological systems, Drax demanded. The science officer, a female named Vex, consulted her terminal. Still intact, War Captain. The damage is primarily to their propulsion and life support. Their research laboratories and core systems appear undamaged. Drax's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. Perfect. We will take the ship before these humans arrive. Krebs' antennae twitched nervously. War Captain, if humans are responding, shouldn't we extract the technology quickly and depart? Drax turned to face his subordinate, his voice dropping to a dangerous hiss. Are you suggesting we should fear these mammals? These creatures of water and softness. He gestured to the weapon stations around them. We have disruptor cannons, gravity torpedoes, and boarding parties of elite warriors. What do they have? Crude projectile weapons and fragile bodies that break under pressure. The bridge grew silent as the crew awaited Krebs' response. No, War Captain, Krebs finally said, lowering his gaze. I merely suggested caution. Caution is wise. Drax conceded, his anger fading. But opportunity is rare. We will take the Tarvasi ship and all its secrets. If these humans arrive, we will show them the price of interfering in Vecron affairs. He turned to his tactical officer. Prepare boarding parties. Full combat gear. I want that ship secured within 2 hours. And the Tarvasi crew? Asked the tactical officer. Drax waved a dismissive claw. Take 3 for questioning. The rest are expendable. As the Vecron vessels began powering up their engines, a communication specialist raised her head. War Captain, I've intercepted a response to the Tarvasi. The humans have mobilized a rescue fleet, 3 warships moving at. She paused, rechecking her readings. Extremely high acceleration. Their estimated arrival time is just over 4 hours. Drax's compound eyes gleamed. Humans shouldn't be capable of such speeds. Their technology isn't advanced enough. He paused. Show me their engine signatures. The data appeared on the main screen. The readings were unusual not because of advanced technology, but because the engines were being pushed far beyond safe operating parameters. No sensible species would risk such dangerous stress on their ship systems. They're going to burn out their drives at that speed, Krebs observed. Drax shook his head, mandibles twitching in new understanding. No, they're going to arrive exactly when they said they would. He turned to face his crew, new urgency in his voice. Change of plans. We take the Tarvasi ship now. These Deathworlders are more determined than I anticipated. The 3 Vecron ships detached from their hiding places and moved toward the drifting Tarvasi vessel, weapons systems powering up as they closed the distance. On the Harmony of Stars, Captain Null pulled herself across the tilting deck, using the emergency handrails to compensate for the failing gravity systems. The air had grown noticeably thinner, and several crew members now wore emergency breathing masks. Only the command center and 1 research lab still had power. Everything else was running on emergency backups. Captain, called tech specialist Vreen from his station. I'm detecting 3 vessels approaching our position. Hope surged through Null. The humans, they've arrived ahead of schedule. Vreen's expression fell. No, Captain. These are not human ships. Configuration is unknown, but they're moving with active weapon signatures. The command center fell silent as this news sank in. They're not broadcasting identification codes, First Officer Mirand reported grimly. Definitely not a rescue operation. Pirates. Science Officer Tala whispered. Or worse. Captain Null straightened her back. fighting both fear and growing dizziness from oxygen deprivation. Seal all bulkheads. Encrypt the research databases. Initiate security protocols. As her crew rushed to comply, the ship shuddered violently. A distant boom echoed through the hull. "They've latched onto the outer airlock," reported Security Officer Lauren. "They're cutting through." First Officer Mirain moved close to Null. "We have no weapons, Captain. No defenses. We have our dignity," Null replied, though her voice trembled. "And the humans are still coming. Deathworlders to the rescue." 4 light minutes away, the human fleet pushed through space at dangerous velocities. On the bridge of the Intrepid, Admiral Chen studied the tactical display with growing concern. "Sir," reported Commander Jackson, "we're picking up 3 unidentified vessels docked with the Tarvesi ship." Chen's expression hardened. "Magnify." The screen zoomed in, showing sleek, predatory ships attached to the damaged Tarvesi vessel. "Vecron raiders," Lieutenant Reyes said grimly. "Known for targeting scientific vessels for their tech. Vicious fighters." Chen turned to Weapons Officer Martinez. "Warning shot. Let them know we're coming in hot." Inside the Tarvesi ship, the first of the Vecron boarding parties had breached the outer hull. 8 heavily armed soldiers moved through the corridors, their chitinous exoskeletons clicking against the crystalline floor. They encountered little resistance, just frightened scientists trying to hide or flee. In the command center, Captain Nell and her officers listened to reports of intruders spreading throughout their ship. "Captain," Vreen called out, his voice suddenly excited. "I'm receiving a transmission. It's the humans." Before anyone could respond, the ship rocked violently as something massive flashed past them in space. On the silent Fang, War Captain Drax stared in disbelief at his tactical display. "What was that?" he demanded. "Energy signature consistent with a kinetic projectile," reported his weapons officer, voice tight with surprise. "It passed within 100 meters of our hull." "Impossible," Drax hissed. "No ship could fire that accurately at this range." The communications panel lit up as a message came through on all frequencies. "Attention unidentified vessels attached to the Tarvesi ship Harmony of Stars. This is Admiral Elena Chen of the Terran Defense Fleet. You are interfering with a rescue operation. Disengage immediately, or we will consider your actions hostile." Drax's mandibles clicked in anger. "They're still at least 20 minutes away. This is a bluff." "Sir," his tactical officer interrupted, "the human vessels have increased acceleration again. New arrival estimate, 12 minutes. "Impossible," Drax repeated, but with less conviction. On the Intrepid, Admiral Chen turned to her weapons officer. "Prepare another warning shot. Closer this time." Officer Martinez nodded grimly. Target locked. Chen glanced at the medical team visible on a secondary monitor. Dr. Petrov and his staff were securing equipment, preparing for whatever condition the Tarvesi might be in. 12 minutes, Chen said quietly. "Hold on just 12 more minutes." In the research lab of the Harmony of Stars, a wounded Tarvesi scientist named Hela huddled behind an overturned console. 3 veteran soldiers were ransacking the lab, downloading research data and smashing equipment. "Where are the crystal core prototypes?" one demanded, pointing a serrated weapon at Tella's chest. Tella closed her eyes, certain death was imminent. Then the entire ship shook again, more violently than before. The lead Vecron's communicator crackled. "All units, recall to ships immediately. The humans will be here in 10 minutes. The soldier grabbed Tella by the throat. "This isn't over. We'll be back for what's ours." As the Vecron retreated, Tella crawled to a communications panel. "Command Center. This is Tella in Research Lab 3. The intruders are leaving." Static answered her. Then, faintly, she heard Captain Null's voice. "Hold on, everyone. The humans are coming." Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the Intrepid, watching as the distance to the Tarvesi vessel rapidly decreased. The ship vibrated around her, engines straining dangerously as they maintained speeds far beyond standard safety protocols. "Sir, The unidentified vessels have detached from the Tarvasi ship, reported Lieutenant Reyes. They appear to be retreating. Chen's eyes narrowed. Maintain course and speed. Target their engines. I want them disabled, not destroyed. Admiral, interrupted the chief engineer over the comm. The drive coils are reaching critical temperature. We need to reduce speed or risk catastrophic failure. Chen didn't hesitate. Maintain current velocity. Divert auxiliary power to cooling systems. That will leave us with minimal shields when we arrive, warned Commander Jackson. The Tarvasi have no shields at all, Chen replied. We'll take the risk. On the Vecron flagship, War Captain Drax paced furiously. Accelerate to maximum. We can still escape before they arrive. The humans are closing too rapidly, his navigation officer reported. And they've launched something toward us. Torpedoes, Drax demanded. No, sir. Smaller objects. Dozens of them, spreading in a pattern around our escape vector. Drax stared at the tactical display, confusion turning to understanding. They're boxing us in. The objects were simple kinetic mines, relatively primitive technology, but deployed with precise mathematical calculation to create a field that would be suicide to traverse at high speed. Reduce velocity, Drax ordered reluctantly. Prepare for combat. 7 minutes later, the human fleet arrived at the Tarvasi vessel. The Intrepid moved alongside the damaged ship, while the Defender and Swift Justice positioned themselves between the Tarvasi and the Vecron vessels. Establish docking procedures, Admiral Chen ordered. Medical teams, prepare for immediate boarding. Engineering, assign damage control teams to assist with Tarvasi life support systems. Admiral, Communications Officer Park called out. We're receiving a transmission from the Vecron flagship. Chen nodded. Put it through. The main screen flickered to life, showing War Captain Drax's insectoid face. This is War Captain Drax of the Vecron Dominion. You are interfering in legitimate salvage operations. The Tarvasi vessel was abandoned and... Cut the crap. Chen interrupted, her voice level but cold. We received a distress call from Captain Nell less than 5 hours ago. Your boarding parties breached their hull while their crew was still alive and operational. That's not salvage. It's piracy at best, attempted murder at worst. Drax's mandibles clicked angrily. The Vecron Dominion does not recognize human jurisdiction in this sector. You will withdraw your vessels immediately or what? Chen asked. You'll attack 3 Federation warships with your raiding party. That would be unfortunate. She leaned forward. For you. She gestured, and Officer Park cut the transmission. They're powering weapons, Admiral, reported Jackson. Chen sighed. Some people never learn. Target their weapon systems only. Disable, don't destroy. The Defender and Swift Justice moved in perfect coordination, their weapon systems locking onto the Vecron ships with pinpoint precision. Before Drax could give the order to fire, his vessel's main weapon arrays erupted in controlled explosions as human railgun projectiles struck with surgical accuracy. What just happened? Drax demanded as emergency alerts blared across his bridge. They fired kinetic weapons at relativistic speeds, his weapons officer stammered. All primary and secondary weapons arrays are disabled. Point defense systems offline. Impossible, Drax roared. Their targeting systems can't be that precise. Sir, his communications officer interrupted, voice shaking. The humans are hailing us again. Admiral Chen's face appeared on the screen once more. Your weapons are disabled. War Captain, your ships can still maneuver at sublight speeds. I suggest you use that capability to leave this sector immediately. You have 5 minutes before I consider your continued presence an act of war against the Federation. The transmission cut off before Drax could respond. War Captain, Krev ventured cautiously. Perhaps we should withdraw and... Silence. Drax hissed, his compound eyes fixed on the human vessels. After a moment, his mandibles clicked in reluctant decision. Plot a course out of the system, maximum sublight speed. As the Vecron ships limped away, The human rescue operation on the Tarvasi vessel moved into high gear. Dr. Petrov led the medical team through the airlock, environmental suits calibrated to match Tarvasi atmospheric requirements. Life support is critical, reported Engineering Lieutenant Patel, scanning the ship's systems. Hull integrity at 42%. Engine containment failing. Captain Rodriguez coordinated from the Intrepid. Team 2, stabilize their life support. Team 3, secure engine containment. Team 4, begin evacuation procedures for any critical casualties. Dr. Petrov found Captain Null and her bridge crew barely conscious from oxygen deprivation. Captain Null, I'm Dr. Mikhail Petrov from the TDF Intrepid. We're here to help. Null's faceted eyes struggled to focus. You came. Of course we came, Petrov replied simply. Administering emergency oxygen. You asked for help. Throughout the harmony of stars, human teams worked with frantic efficiency. Engineers reinforced failing systems, medics treated injured Tarvasi, and security teams swept for any remaining Vecron intruders. In engineering, Chief Raman assessed the damaged engine core. This containment field is minutes from collapse. We need to stabilize it now or evacuate immediately. Lieutenant Commander Ortiz, leading the engineering team, studied the crystalline technology. These systems are completely different from ours. We don't have time to learn how they work. Raman didn't hesitate. Then we'll improvise. Jackson, Rodriguez, help me set up emergency magnetic containment fields using our portable generators. Chen, Wu, start routing power from our shuttle to reinforce their existing systems. That won't be enough, Ortiz warned. The field strength. Then we'll use the suits. Raman interrupted, already removing components from her environmental protection gear. The personal shield generators can be reconfigured to reinforce the containment field at critical juncture points, but without full environmental protection. We'll manage, Raman cut him off. Earth's radiation belts are worse than this. Move. From the command center, Captain Null watched in astonishment as the human teams worked. Their movements were precise yet adaptable, each person seemingly capable of making independent decisions while still functioning as a coordinated unit. They communicated in short, efficient bursts, hands never stopping their work even as they spoke. Most shocking of all was their physical resilience. When an emergency panel blew out, sending a human engineer flying across the room, he simply picked himself up, checked a bleeding gash on his arm, and returned to work as if nothing had happened. When system failures forced the humans to remove parts of their protective gear, exposing themselves to the thinning atmosphere and fluctuating temperatures, they showed discomfort but continued working without complaint. Why? Null asked Dr. Petrov as he treated her injuries. Why risk yourselves this way for us? Petrov looked surprised by the question. Because you needed help, he said, as if the answer were obvious. Because we could come, and you couldn't wait. 6 hours after the human fleet's arrival, the harmony of stars was temporarily stabilized. The engine containment field was holding, life support had been restored to minimal functionality, and the most critical hull breaches had been sealed. Admiral Chen stood in the Tarvasi Command Center with Captain Null, reviewing the damage reports. Your ship can be saved, Chen explained, but not here. We'll need to tow it to Frontier Station 7 for proper repairs. You've already done more than we could have hoped, Null replied. My people owe you a debt we cannot repay. Chen shook her head. No debt. This is what we do. Null studied the human admiral curiously. The Galactic Council warns that humans are dangerous. That your evolution on a high-gravity death world makes you unpredictable. Aggressive. Chen smiled slightly. They're not wrong. Earth forged us in ways that make other species uncomfortable. We're built to survive crisis, to run toward danger rather than away from it. We can be aggressive when threatened. Her expression softened. But the same instincts that make us dangerous also drive us to protect those who need protection. Deathworlders, Null said thoughtfully. We prefer Terrans, Chen replied with a hint of humor. But yes, We come from a world that tried very hard to kill us. It taught us to value life precisely because it's so easily lost. She gestured to the starfield visible through the viewport. Out here, everyone is vulnerable. Everyone needs help sometimes. As the human teams completed their work and the Intrepid began the delicate process of establishing a tow line to the damaged Tarvasi vessel, First Officer Miren approached Captain Nall. "The humans have restored access to our research database," he reported. "The Vecron managed to download only a small portion of our data before they were interrupted." "Good," Nall replied. "What about their behavior during the crisis? Were you able to record your observations?" Miren nodded, his translucent skin pulsing with excitement patterns. "Extensive recordings, Captain. The Council will find our report on human crisis response fascinating. Their adaptability, their problem-solving capabilities, their physical resilience, it's remarkable." "More than remarkable," Nall said quietly, watching as a human engineer calmly repaired a panel despite the sparks showering around her. "It's exactly what our galaxy needs." She turned to Admiral Chen. "When we return to Frontier Station 7, I would like to formally propose a Tarvasi Human Cooperative Alliance to the Federation. I believe there is much our peoples could accomplish together." Chen smiled. "I think that's an excellent idea, Captain. After all, even Deathworlders need friends." As the Tarvasi ship was slowly pulled into position for the journey back to the station, Captain Nall recorded one final entry in her personal log. "Today I learned that dangerous is not always a warning. Sometimes it is a promise that when darkness falls and hope seems lost, there are those who will brave any peril to answer a call for help. The humans are indeed Deathworlders, evolved in crucibles we can barely imagine. But what their harsh world gave them was not just strength and resilience. It was compassion forged in fire, tempered by their own vulnerability. Perhaps the most valuable lesson from this crisis is that in a universe full of danger, the most dangerous ally may be exactly what you need to survive."